Okay, so we've got one more presentation, but before we do, my new best friend, Paul Blazik, came up with yet another awesome idea. He's probably going to replace me here next year. But I thought this was kind of cool, talk about conversations and all that. So what we want everybody to do is look around to your left, right, ahead, behind, find someone you haven't met, and introduce yourself. Okay. Paul, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. All right, next up, we have Amrith Kumar. Amrith Kumar is the founder and CTO of Tesora, the company focused on delivering database as a service platform for OpenStack. He is an active technical contributor to and a member of the core review team for the OpenStack Trove project. He brings more than 2 decades of experience delivering industry-leading products for companies specializing in enterprise storage applications, fault tolerance, high-performance systems, and massively parallel databases. Amrith Kumar, come on up. Please give him a big round of applause.
Hi, Jim. Thank you. Where'd you get all that stuff about me? That's not me.
It was on the list. Is that right?
Sounds very impressive. Who is this dude?
Wow, I don't know. We're gonna have to talk to the marketing department.
Yeah.
We'll get that straightened out.
Thanks a lot. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm here to talk to you about how you build databases in the as-a-service world. But it's Thursday morning, and everybody's had a lot of presentations already, so let's try and have a little bit of fun. So every now and then, by the way, I've interspersed a couple of selfies of myself in the presentation, so if you spot them, you get a prize. Every now and then you get a new technology which fundamentally changes the way in which we do computing. And when you have these kind of transformative changes, small course corrections are not good enough. And the cloud is one of those things. So with the cloud, you can now do a whole bunch of things which you could never do before. And it's opened a whole bunch of avenues for people, and it has profound implications for databases. So just taking existing databases and moving them to the cloud is not a good solution. So what I'm going to talk to you about is how cloud has changed databases and how databases are changing the cloud and how the two of them are coming together. But these transformative situations are not specific to computing. They've happened before. They've happened in other industries. So I'm going to talk to you first about how these transformations happened in the automobile industry. And maybe there's something to learn from what they did. In making a car or selling cars, there's 2 distinct processes, making and the selling. We're going to talk about the making of the car. Tesla is revolutionizing how you sell a car, so maybe I'll talk to you about that in the next keynote, but not now. So in making a car, there's 2 groups. There's the people who design the car, the creative types, and the organization goes and tells them, come up with a creative car, come up with the next car that people are going to want to buy. These are the guys who gave you chrome, who gave you the fins on the car, and all of those nice things, which they said are going to give you the next generation of car. At the other end of the spectrum, there's the production line. These are the guys who make the car. The creative guys can design anything they want, but these are the guys who actually have to make it. And the organization has told them, quality is important. You need to make sure that you can reduce the cost of the car. Ford said that the car should be affordable to everyone who makes the car. Therefore, you have to drive down cost. You have to drive up quality. And as a result of that, the manufacturing line said, I love all the stuff the creative guys are doing. You can have any color as long as it's black. They call it standardization, but they're using that as a mechanism to do the good things which they were told to do. Okay, what's that going to do for you? There's going to be conflict. No, this is not the selfie. The conflict between the two organizations is not because of any malice between the organizations. Both of them have been told to do good and meaningful things. Good for the organization. Reduce cost. Be creative. Conflict. Now, when you have this kind of conflict, it's very, very similar to the conflict we have in IT. The developers give me the most innovative technology for my application. It needs to be fast. It needs to be mobile and web. It needs to do all these fancy things. Yet, you've got the ops team or the IT team who've been told, give me a stable infrastructure. Give me a good, reliable place where I can store my data. Data privacy is important. Nothing wrong with either of these things. But the organization tasked with the stability and the standardization says, yes, you can have Mr. Creative Developer any database as long as it's FoxPro, or MySQL, or Oracle, or whatever the standard happens to be. So talk about polyglot persistence. How are you going to do polyglot persistence if you're allowed one database? That's the conflict you have. How many of you see this in your organizations? Show of hands. Okay, I see a bunch of hands going up. If you were to look at that, it's the exact same kind of conflict. Not again because of any malice. Everybody is doing the things they were told to do. But the problem is the control now that the IT organization has over the development organization is fundamentally stifling the creativity in the development organization. This is not a good situation to be in, and it's not like developers have much of a choice. What could they do? Just go swipe their credit card somewhere and they'll get a machine on demand? Yeah, well, Amazon came along in 2006, and that's exactly what happened. So developers in droves started swiping their credit cards, and you had shadow IT. So all of these wonderful applications which were sitting in the data center slowly started trickling out of these safe confines that IT had made for them. All because the developers were told, be creative, be innovative. And the IT organization was not able to respond in a way which was suitable. Okay, this is not a good thing. Data privacy could be compromised. Data security could be compromised. Data could be lost. And IT organizations had to come up with a solution to address this. So I did promise selfies, right? Yeah, there you go. Somebody pointed it out. I'm in booth 205. Come by and get your prize. You got to figure a solution for this. And anybody who's been to any good management school has probably learned this. If you have two organizations within your company and there's conflict, how do you solve it? Well, make it one organization. Okay, now you get DevOps. Dev and Ops can't fight with each other because they're now one organization. So the DevOps organization has now been told, you are responsible for the whole thing. Go figure it out. Okay, you need to go decide what application is required. You need to go design it. You need to go pick the database, figure out how you're going to store the data in that database, build the application, test the application, deploy the application, maintain the application, the full lifetime. That's not a trivial thing because effectively you're asking for these guys. How many of you have heard that DevOps is hard to hire for? Yeah, this is what you're looking to hire. Not everybody can be a person who can conceive of an application, choose a database, decide a data representation, implement the code, and maintain it. But more importantly, you're ending up with a situation where you have a bunch of guys, or gals, I think there's some girls there, I don't know, who are tasked with the lifetime of this product. They're not going to be able to move forward. It's going to be hard for you to hire them. And oh, by the way, outside a DevOps conference, these are the guys we end up with. Not everybody can be a good DevOps person. This is not a scalable solution. You have to find a different solution. So let's think about this for a second. You understand that there needs to be creativity, and there needs to be stability and all of those nice things. How do you reconcile these? And this is where I think the parallel with the auto industry is very important. They had the exact same problem, and they solved this by automation, industrial strength automation. Everything which is being produced now, or largely everything which is being produced now in the auto industry, is robots. There was a very nice picture this morning in the New York Times of an industrial-sized robot with one guy standing at a keyboard. The guy operating the robot programs the robot once. The robot will make the car repeatably, every single car the exact same way. Improves your quality, drives down your cost. What this also does is it frees up the person operating the robot to think of a higher level set of things. Twisting the wrench is not as much fun as telling the robot how to twist the wrench and now figuring out how much to twist the wrench. If there's a problem, figure out how to change it. It's a software change. Every car coming out after that will have the new change. This now frees up the guy in the production line to talk to the developer and say, what do you want to do next? What kind of car would you like to build next? And now you can come up with some real cool curves, which I could never manufacture before. And I submit to you that the exact same kind of things apply to us in the database space as well. So the developer should be able to go do exactly what the developer wants. And the IT organization should rely on automation, industrial-style automation, just like the robot. Using OpenStack as an example, Amazon, for example, did not build their cloud by having a large number of people they found on Mechanical Turk. It's automation. But you and I can't get that automation to run in our data center. You can, however, get OpenStack. And for database as a service, the project is Strove, which explains the diver motif for this presentation. You can get this. You can use the automation built into it and free up your organization, your IT organization, to operate the automation. And we'll talk about how that is fundamentally changing the way in which we do databases. So first, automate everything. No longer do you have to go and manually create a database instance. Every one of you in this room has probably at some time in their life provisioned a database instance. Several dozen of them. And databases are particularly finicky. You miss one option. It probably doesn't make a difference. It comes up, it starts running. 3 months later, at 2 in the morning, it fails. These failures usually happen when you're asleep, or you're doing something else you don't want to be disrupted from. When you automate it, each and every time you provision a database, it is going to be identical to the last one. Now, what do you have to do? You make sure that the automation produces the database you want in the configuration you want. And if there's some reason you find there's a problem, change it once. Every future database will reflect that. Okay, automate everything. What do you do once you automate it? Make it self-service. No longer should the person in the IT organization be the one who's provisioning the database. Hand that control back to the developer. Automate self-service. And then the question is, what do you automate? Now, everybody here has probably used Ansible, Puppet, Chef. That automates the provisioning of a database. But industrial-style automation says automate the entire life cycle of the database. From the time when you provision the database through everything you need to do with the database. You want to take a backup? Automate that. You want to do replication or clustering? Automate that. You want to apply configuration changes? Automate that too. And once you automate that, hand that back as a control, a self-service control to the developer. Provide standard API. let the application writer invoke the API and say, take a backup. Now the IT organization is freed up from having to bother about, are the backups being properly taken? Because they are, they're automated. And how is this automation being done? Well, Trove, for example, works closely with the folks at Percona. Percona, other than organizing these conferences, is a major contributor or participant in OpenStack Trove. So we worked with them, my company did, when we were implementing replication for MySQL. They attended the designs, and they know, they're the experts on MySQL. Therefore, you know that when you use Percona with Trove, replication is something endorsed by the experts. Other companies who have contributed to Trove are experts in Mongo. They contributed all the code for clustering. You get to use that for free. And oh, by the way, you may be an expert in some other database for which there is incomplete support. You contribute that back to the community. Automate, self-service. OK. And the next thing, now that you're all free to have more time with higher level things which you can think about, you don't have to have any database as long as it's Oracle, or any database as long as it's MySQL. You can choose any database you want. At this point today, with database as a service from Trove, you can choose MySQL, Percona, MariaDB, Postgres, Mongo, Cassandra, Couch, Redis, HP's Vertica, CouchDB, and DB2 Express, any of these databases. You can do all of these things in an automated way in your own data center with open source code. And much of the code is contributed by experts in that particular area, so the code you're getting is something which is already, for the most part, industrial ready. So you get the choice, and now, with that, the balance is again evened out. The development organization is free to choose the things it wants. Choose the database you want. You need Polyglot Persistence in your application? Choose two. Choose MySQL and Mongo. Need an analytics solution? Fine, Vertica is available too. We also support Oracle. If you still need Oracle, Oracle is supported. And now you have that the development organization picks the database, picks the data representation or the schema. Using the automation, the IT organization guarantees that everything which you provision works within the safe confines of your data center. Your data is backed up. It's either backed up automatically or on schedule or manually, but it's backed up. You want replication and clustering? It's supported. You want wide area replication because your application requires failover? Supported too. OpenStack has all of those capabilities, and you can get access to them. So now you've, again, released that pressure between the two organizations by now saying the IT organization is not hamstrung and requiring to control the development organization and its choices. You get the freedom to choose the things you want. And in the database space, this is particularly important because it's changing not just the way in which people consume the databases, but it's changing the things which database vendors do. Rob talked about Percona being the default choice in OpenStack. What he didn't mention is that Percona also made changes to PXE to make it easier to automate. So Percona worked with people in the OpenStack community and added features to the Percona server, which you can get access to, which makes it easier to operate in the cloud. It's collaboration there. The database vendors make changes to the databases. The end users and the OpenStack community automate it. From an end user's perspective, you have a completely operable private cloud solution with database as a service, which you can deploy in your own data center. So if you have more questions about this and so on, we're over in the exhibit area. But fundamentally, the transformation of the cloud, making it possible with ubiquitous computing, cheap storage, cheap networking, it's made it possible for you to get anything you want as a service. And in the context of databases, you can't afford to lose data. You can't afford to get the wrong results. But you want to have the flexibility, and OpenStack and Trove give you the ability to do that. So if you're interested in stuff like this, you have an easy way to try it out. The software is available for free download. It gives you access to the databases you already know and love, and it makes it very easy for you to get an operable production-grade cloud in your own data center. And with that, that's all I have. Thanks very much, Jim.
Thank you. That was great. It was a wonderful presentation. Okay, so that's a wrap for the keynotes. Just a couple final thoughts. I just want to say thank you again to our sponsors and to our speakers. All the work that they put in, we really appreciate it. I want to thank the event staff, the folks in the back of the room, the folks behind the stage who set all this up, and they come in early and they stay late. Thank you very much, guys. You did a great job. And then finally, I want to thank all of you. We set all this up, but it doesn't mean anything unless and until you guys show up and participate. So thank you again to all of you. You've made this a great conference. Enjoy the sessions today. Visit the sponsors in the booth. Fill out your surveys. And remember, we're going to be back here, I think, at 4. Is it here? Yes, it's here at 4 for the giveaways. Have a great day, everybody.